parked and we just started walking into the Black Forest. And we found a spot and we camped. That was also the first time I ever tried ayahuasca, which was very interesting.
Yeah.
That's for another Mead Talk, the DMT experience.
Might be why a lot of stories exist.
Might be what?
Why a lot of stories exist from the Black Forest.
Yeah. Might be. Yeah, I would associate a lot of those stories with psychedelics. I would associate the story of Christmas with psychedelics as well. Welcome to Mead Talk.
Mead Talk.
Thanks, everybody, for showing up. I know you're not really here to see us. You were just here for the trivia, and now you're lingering, but we appreciate it anyways. Just so you guys know, the way that you get into the Mead Talk, or let's set some ground rules.
Yes.
Do the ground rules for the
People
Mead
have
Talk.
no idea what we're doing right now.
Yeah. So Mead Talk is a place where we believe that we can all come together and talk about all sorts of awesome subjects, whether it be fun, crazy, stupid, or whether it be challenging, different thoughts and ideas. So we like to come together and talk about these ideas because we believe when people don't talk about things get kind of, there's some tension built between people.
It's convoluted.
Yeah, it gets convoluted. People don't really know what other people think, and so this is a nice place to come together and be able to express those ideas together around a fantastic beverage called mead. But in order to enter the realm of Mead Talk, you must... Let me do that.
Yep.
So in order to enter the realm of Mead Talk, you must at least drink 3 glasses of mead. So your host and co-host and any guest that come up here on Mead Talk has consumed at least 3 glasses of mead. Everybody's a little bit blurry out there for me right now, so we're doing pretty good. So the idea behind that is everything is better with mead, right?
Yep. Uh-oh. Somebody hand him the microphone.
Now, one of the things with Mead Talk is we do have a wireless mic at the bar. If you would like to participate, add your ideas, tell us anything indifferent, or just agree, you are more than welcome to do so. And tonight, we are talking specifically about philosophy. Hey, you got to flip the switch.
How many points do I get for holding up the mic?
For holding up the mic? Well, I mean, just holding it up in the air, I don't really know.
The Statue of Liberty.
You can, if you plug it up, it works. But so any royalty member that's here today gets an extra 50 points added to the charts up there in the ranking system. So, and as most people know, when you're a royalty member, you get entered into the ranks at the Royalty Ball, which we will be having April 19th.
April 19th.
April 19th, we'll be having the Royalty Ball. April 19th. So April 19th, we'll be having the Royalty Ball. We haven't fully announced it, but we just kind of did. And we will invite everybody there, and the people in the top ranks get some awesome prizes. But tonight we talk specifically on philosophy. Thanks for joining us again. But tonight we talk, this is our third philosophy talk. We have not specifically chosen a main idea for this talk, but we have a lot of really awesome shower talks. As well, we have a few main ideas that we really like to talk about, don't we?
Yeah, we've got a few options.
Which of these would you like to go over, Robert? Because some of these are pretty intense. Some of them are whatever. We could probably get through them pretty quick. But
let's go with a lighter one here. Let's talk about breaking the law.
Oh, yeah. Breaking the law. Breaking the law.
Breaking the law.
Yeah. We got some people out there that know what we're talking about. I've never done ever such a thing in my life. I've gone to jail for not breaking the law before, and that was interesting. But other times I've not gotten caught for breaking the law, but we won't go there.
So the question is, when is it okay, if ever, to break the law?
Yeah. Well, first of all, is it okay in your mind to break the law, and when is it, if ever? Hold on. There's a mic. No, there's a
Oh,
mic.
no, yeah. Now she doesn't want to comment.
I mean, I heard a yes out there. Pretty confident yes. It's okay. We're not live now.
No. We can mask your voice.
So we have a yes out there. So okay, well, who do you want to go first?
Yeah, I can kick this one off.
Okay.
In my opinion, yes, it is okay to break the law. When it doesn't affect someone else.
Okay.
So we all know that laws are created by men for men.
Yeah. Thanks so much. All right.
Yep, just don't get caught. So most of the laws we have, let's say the Constitution, for example, it pretty much says, hey, you're free, do what you want. Just don't affect anyone else.
Yeah, don't infringe upon their freedoms. Right.
So, don't cause them harm or anything like that. Now,
Steal or
we could get into whether or not words are harmful, which is just ridiculous. Because when I was growing up, there's a saying called sticks and stones may break your bones, but words may never hurt me.
Yeah.
So,
you're rubber, I'm glue.
Yeah.
Or you're glue.
I'm rubber, you're glue. Whatever you say bounces off of me and
sticks to you. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously there is a line, like, hey, I'm gonna shoot you in the face. Well, that's a different story. But, for the most part, hey, you're ugly. Oh, okay, cool. I mean, well,
yeah,
you're fat,
I guess there's a difference between threat and
insult.
Yeah, an insult. Yeah. I guess most people don't know the distinction.
Right.
Nowadays.
So, do I believe it's okay to break the law? Yes. For example, let's say there's a certain area of a national park that they have closed off for no reason, and you would like to go explore it. Well, it would be against the law to go explore that section of the national park. Is it okay to go explore it anyways? Yes. Why? Because we, the people, funded that national park. Ergo, it is public property. Ergo, we should be able to go explore that area.
Okay, one that really messes with me a lot is the driver's license thing, right? So you don't actually have to have a driver's license unless you're doing something commercial, right? It's a Class C license for a reason because it's a commercial license. If you're not doing any commercial activities, you actually have the right in the law to travel by everyday means. Well, everyday means is on public roads with motorized cars. And now the language that you use for that is you have to be very specific when you're in court. Because if you say that you were driving is a commercial term, according to the law. If you say that you're traveling, that is a constitutional right. So, which I think we'll get into with Bo on another Mead Talk. But
yes.
But, that one is one, I traveled in a motorized car for 4 years total without a license. And, it caused issues, and it ends up just becoming a headache to deal with because you end up having to go to court and fight it and all that bull crap. Eventually you win, but it's like, at what point do you just say, okay, whatever, I'll get a license so I don't have to deal with this crap. And I think that's one that irks me. But there are so many areas at which I would break the law for freedom, for all sorts of things, right? And there's a lot of people out there that believe that drugs are a valid reason to break the law, specifically like psychedelics or even like, marijuana, stuff like that, which eventually becomes law apparently in a lot of states, and hopefully here soon.
Yep.
As well here in Alabama. Apparently that law is passed for at least prescription stuff.
Yep.
Which is pretty dang cool. But yeah, so I mean in like abolition days and everything else, like it was against the law for abolitionists to do things, but that was like what they did because they saw an inherent evil. Even though it was against the law, they fought against it. And so I think that's important. I think it's important for us to know what evil is, even if it is within the laws, because the laws are created by man.
And And of course, too, you have to keep in mind that an unconstitutional law is no law. So that can't be broken.
Well, yeah, so it's not a law of the land, right?
It's a law of man. It's not.
Yeah, so the Constitution was, gosh dang, we're going to go do another constitutional
Because it has to do
talk
with law.
tonight.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Constitution is the law, right? It's like the inherent rights that we were given. Yeah, it gives power to a government.
Yeah, I guess the Constitution more or less reinforces our God-given rights.
Yeah. Well, it protects us from a tyranny or a communist government or
Yes.
socialist government. Overreaching government. And protects us from that and gives us inherent freedoms. Unfortunately, we have codes that cities and states and federal regulatory agencies have built upon that don't really apply, but they will enforce it regardless with force, with violence, hold you up at gunpoint against the RICO Act, but we won't get into that. But yeah, so I think it's totally necessary. I think it's actually, if we don't break the law in some circumstances, I don't think we're doing the right thing.
I agree.
You know?
Because, well, let's be honest, when the ATF passed a no arm brace, decided that everybody that owned an arm brace is about to become a felon.
Yes, I may or may not be a felon.
You may or may have lost it in a boating accident.
Look, I don't have any weapons
right
of mass destruction.
No, I have tools.
I have tools. I have drills. I have all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. But so I mean, which getting into law and everything, the ATF doesn't have a right to make laws.
No.
So that's why
I wouldn't even say they have a right to enforce anything, honestly.
No, they should be abolished.
They should completely be abolished. That is a definite. I mean, they honestly are, the whole agency is completely unconstitutional in my mind.
Yes.
And that's actually being thrown up in Supreme Court right now, which is pretty interesting. I can't wait to see how that goes because I'd love for it to just completely disappear.
Yep.
Because I would like to own whatever I would like to own.
Yes.
For the right reasons.
According to a certain sitting president, he said if we wanted to take on the U.S. government, we needed F-16s. Well, I do believe the Constitution allows me to own an F-16.
I mean, we're allowed to. Do we have the money to make it? Probably
That's
not.
the thing. You got to have the money. That's a $500 million plus jet.
That's a whole other story. But
Right.
Well, do you want to move on to a shower thought? We got some really good shower thoughts.
Let's hit a shower thought. These are awesome shower thoughts. You want to do the first one?
I can do the first one.
All right.
Okay. First shower thought of the night. Is everybody listening? Nothing is on fire. Fire is on things. Boom. Mic drop.
Nothing is on fire. Fire is on things.
I've never seen anything on fire except if you're trying to stoke it, maybe, or you're trying to put it out, smother it. You can throw stuff on fire, but then it just climbs right back on top.
Right.
It's freaking wild. I don't understand. I don't understand how that works. I don't know.
It's pretty crazy. All right, that's enough. Go
It's pretty wild.
away now.
It's pretty wild. But what other do we want to get into another
Yeah, I think there's I'm seeing the way we can lead into this. So let's go to this one here since we're talking about law.
This is actually that's actually a pretty good one. I guess I'll do that one
Go
since
ahead.
you did the first one.
Yeah.
So this is a really interesting question which I have my opinion on it. Other people have their opinion on it. Is there a difference between murdering and killing? Is there a difference between murdering and killing? Now, I believe there is. Jennifer keeps putting the mic up to her mouth like she's going to talk. But
Wade keeps giving her the stink eye like, don't do it. Don't you do it to me,
Cut
Ricky
her off.
Bobby.
Just turn the mic off.
Take that back, Ricky
Put
Bobby.
it on mute.
Don't you put that curse on me, Ricky Bobby.
Get off. Get down. Thank you. What's that? What? I
Microphone.
can't hear you.
Microphone. I'm deaf.
I know we turned it off.
There it is.
Reason.
There's.
She said yes.
I heard her say
There is a difference.
something. It
But what
sounded-
is the difference?
Yeah.
Like,
Could you give us an explanation?
Well, murdering someone, I feel like you intentionally did that. Killing someone was probably unintentional.
Okay, so there is different degrees of murder, right?
Yep.
And there's accidental murder, which we call what murder?
Manslaughter.
Manslaughter, yeah. But yes, like manslaughter would be like accidentally, but you could have avoided it if you like weren't doing something stupid, right? You were intentionally doing something stupid that put people at risk.
So if
And
you were in a
because-
hold my beer and watch this situation, that would probably be more manslaughter.
Yeah. I mean, like, or just like, racing somebody on the street, doing,
Yeah.
driving recklessly, and then you get in an accident and the passenger, that is manslaughter, right? And there's different degrees of that. There's different degrees of murder. Like, first degree murder is obviously with the planned intent to murder. Second degree is like murder when you didn't really have the right to kill them, but you did it anyways, but it was still like on the fly. You didn't intend to do it except for right there in the moment.
Road
right?
rage type situation.
Yeah, but you still did it regardless, and it was like, well, you probably shouldn't have done that. There was no threat to your life type deal. I think there's a biblical version of this too. A lot of people think that the Ten Commandments, one of it says, thou shalt not murder, but the actual translation of it is thou shalt not kill. Vice versa, the other way around. I don't know what I'm saying. It says thou shalt not murder, and it doesn't say thou shalt not kill, right? Because there's plenty of situations where you might have to defend your life or somebody else's life, and to save them, you might have to kill somebody, right? I mean,
so in the sense of self-defense, that would be killing someone. You have no intent to kill, but if it's to protect you or loved ones, then you have to kill that individual to stop the threat, then that would be killing someone.
yeah, like at a particular event and somebody like starts shooting it up or something, and you kill that person. Otherwise, like 20 other people are gonna die. I don't believe that's murder, right? I believe that's protecting other people's lives. And I think there's a clear distinction. I think there's a pretty clear distinction in that. Self-defense. But we got into this a little bit with Bo on self-defense because, at what point do you believe that your life is in danger?
Yeah. And, the law kind of states in self-defense it has to be equal or lesser force. So there is excessive force. So if somebody comes at you with a bat and you drop a bomb on them, that's kind of excessive.
Well, here's the problem, though. Somebody's fist actually kills more people every year than guns, right? So,
yes.
I mean, I think it's like twice the amount of people are killed by actual fist fights every year.
Well, we actually had a really good case not too long ago with a kid called Kyle Rittenhouse.
Yeah. That was a pretty interesting case.
That
But
he only had one armed individual come after him, but shot multiple individuals.
yeah.
And
But
yes, there is
one guy
excessive
tried
force.
to beat him over the head with a skateboard.
With a skateboard,
that
right.
he shot. Like, there's a lot of
Yes.
guys that,
So,
I mean, could he have avoided the situation? Yes, but at the same time.
But in the situation he was in, he did what he thought was going to save his life in self-defense.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what the courts ruled.
Yeah. I mean, he wasn't actually bothering anybody. So.
Right. And that's a part of why we have the judicial system, to go and look at all the evidence to see
Luckily,
what the facts
there was video
are.
evidence of all that stuff.
Right. So, yes, which is why law is so interesting, because
It is.
there are so many different angles that you can look at something and say, well, I didn't think about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, especially with and we were talking with Bo last time too about every case is completely different from the next, and you have to look at it like that.
Right.
But you can take ideas off of one case as how they interpreted particular laws, and you can apply it to the next case.
Yeah.
Except for every situation is different, but
Yes.
you can see how they applied the law in certain situations, right? So.
Yep.
But can we go to another shower thought? You want to do this shower thought?
Yeah. All right. Shower thought number 2, and I promise they're only getting better. This one, Jennifer is going to giggle. I promise.
I don't know if she'll get. This one's kind of morbid.
It's good though. It's
well,
really good.
Well, not really, but still, well, sort of.
All right. So shower thought number 2 for the night. Tobacco companies kill their best customers, and condom companies kill their future customers.
A few laughs on that one. That was good.
I told you they're getting good.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it, they really do. It's and they like fought so hard and spent so much money to do that.
Yes.
I mean, I remember. So there were commercials back in the day where doctors were like advocating for pregnant women smoking.
Yes.
Right? Like they were like, oh, yeah, you'll lose a few pounds. You'll keep the weight off if you smoke this pack of cigarettes. Like doctors on TV were saying that and stuff. And nowadays they're like, yeah, that probably wasn't the best idea. Not at all. But for some reason, we all came out okay, I think. I don't know.
Yeah. Some of us survived.
Yeah, some of us survived. Yeah. Might be why we're all considered crazy, huh?
Yeah.
But.
All right. So, let's see. Which one's going to be next? Let's go with the first one there, I think, would be a good lead into
the first one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, I think that kind of leads, all of these kind of lead together.
Lead
it's
into each other, yeah.
That's pretty good. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah. All right. So the next question is there absolute morality?
Is there absolute morality?
Yeah, I know. That's going to be on the, yeah. I appreciate that. Is there absolute, and she doesn't even need a microphone. Is there absolute morality?
Is there absolute morality? Do you want to take the first?
I'll kick this one off.
Kick this one off.
Yes, I do believe there is absolute morality. Simply put, if there was no morality, for example, then you could do as you please, and that would be your morality. So if you think it's okay,
there's a word for that.
Yes. So yeah. So I do believe there is absolute morality. If morality, for example, didn't exist, then who could say that murdering someone is wrong? And how do we ineptly know that murdering is wrong? How do we know that stealing is wrong? And you could debate, well, because, you were raised that way and your parents told you better, and okay, great. If we go down the lineage, who ineptly taught that? Or why do we believe these things are wrong and right? So my belief is there is a higher standard, and that higher standard is what gives us our morality, being God.
Okay, so I only heard a little bit of what you said, but yeah, I agree. I think there is an absolute morality, and it's called objective morality, right? I believe there's a subjective morality and an objective morality. The problem with subjective morality is the fact that you get to decide what is moral to you, and I think that's a very big issue, right? So if it were up to me, I would probably do more bad things than good things, right? Like, I would probably do whatever I felt was good, right? But the problem is it may be good for me, but not good for somebody else, right? So I believe the subject of morality is a law that is inherently written on our hearts. It's something that is within every single one of us, but the problem is we fight with it constantly. There's an internal battle going on all the time inside of us, and that is the battle of to do the right thing or not to do the right thing, right? And we're constantly fighting with that. I mean, internally in our thoughts, outwardly in our expressions, with the people around us, our relationships. You know, it's but the problem is our first reaction is to do what's best for us. And then the second one is like, okay, after it's passed, we're like, well, maybe I should have done it this way, which would have been less selfish, you know, more more humility in the situation. But I think that there is an objective morality, though. And I think that objective morality holds us to a certain standard. And I think without that objective morality, I think we have complete chaos in the world, right? Thank y'all so much. You have a wonderful night. I love the outfits. You guys won, just so you know, for the night. There was a lot of competition out here, but you would have won anyways. Just so. But yeah, there is an objective morality, and that is the law. That is the spiritual law that I believe that transcends all law, and it's the law that was spoken by Jesus Christ. I don't even think it's the 10 Commandments, right? So obviously, you know, that law is written on our hearts, but I believe that Jesus took it a step further, and that's why it's called the New Testament, not the Old Testament. Which we'll get into next week a pretty good bit, I believe.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking to a Norse pagan next week, which will be really interesting, really interesting guy.
A Norse pagan?
A Norse pagan is polytheistic, believes in multiple gods, but specifically originally Viking gods, right?
Yes.
So
Odin, Thor, Loki.
Well, actually, they're different. It's different. So... But yeah, there are multiple gods, and it's you know, polytheistic versus monotheistic, and we'll have a lot to say about all that when we get into that. But as for me, I believe that there is an objective morality, and I think it's extremely important for there to be an objective reality or an absolute morality, because I think that as soon as you speak a truth, you're going outside of yourself, because it actually applies to more than just you, right? So whenever you say something or do something that applies to more than just you, you're applying it to an objective circumstance, not a subjective circumstance. And so by doing so or saying so or thinking so, you are applying yourself to an objective stance. And I think that anybody who speaks like that, even if they are atheistic or you know, polytheistic or whatever their belief is, they are still applying themselves to an objective morality, whether they like it or not.
Or Muslim or Buddhist.
Yeah, I mean, whatever it is, you know, they're still applying themselves to an objective morality. They know that it's there, and they can't explain why. But I can.
Well, I mean, you know, that I've heard it so many times with a Christian and an atheist debate. The atheist will ask, why, if your God is a loving God and all-knowing God, does he allow evil to exist? And
like,
the simple answer is, so you believe that evil exists, which means you believe good exists, which means you believe in morals, and where does that come from? Because if you're an atheist, you would have subjective beliefs. You would have subjective morals. You would live your life how you believe your life should be lived and do what you want to do.
Well, okay, but then you go down the rabbit hole of, it's not really is God a good or evil God, right? It's okay. Well, there's free will for men to do as they choose, and I believe there's only two choices that you can make in life, and everything falls under those two choices. And we talked a little bit about this on Mead Talk, right? But
We're actually about to talk about that here soon.
yeah, probably next week we'll talk a little bit about that. I don't know. It's going to be a really long. Yeah, we're gonna. Yeah, that's what. The next question was.
Yes.
And so then it leads into which is the next question, which is what is free will, right? Because everyone has free will. It was given to us for a reason, and it's something that we all have the inherent ability to do is choose what our next action is, what our next thought is, what our next everything is, right? So we're able to make decisions in our lives. Now, obviously, I think there's things that intervene in those choices.
A lot of times, the intervention is
Divine.
it's divine because of prayers that are being answered, or
Well, I mean, so you're given a helper, right? So like,
miracles, so on and so forth. Yes, but yes, as for free will, I believe absolute free will is how we live. If it didn't, then we wouldn't have the ability to be evil or be good.
yeah, but so this question in particular though is what is free will?
Yes.
Right. So we all know that we have free will.
Yes.
That's pretty, even if you're atheist or whatever, you pretty much know that you have free will. You have the ability to choose what you want. Now, what is that? And I would say, why is that, right? Because I believe there's an inherent answer as to why we have free will, why we have the cognizance that we do, why we have the ability to actually think and know that we are conscious beings. There is a definite reason.
Yeah.
What is that reason?
Well, there's multiple reasons, but
No.
the main reason
No, there's one.
is to love God.
Yeah, to love. So, we'll just at the core of the issue, right? So, is love in general, right? You cannot have the ability of true love without free will. Because love comes with a choice to do so. You can either choose to love or choose not to. And because you have that choice, love is a thing. So, and then we go into like what is love, right? Because most people think love is a feeling, which is crap. That's dumb. Like,
Or it's a chemical reaction.
it's a chemical reaction. Yeah, well, that's has to do with happiness. Well, happiness is bullshit too, right? So, happiness is something that comes and goes, and you can be happy for 1 second and depressed the next. So, like, what is happiness? It's merely a chemical reaction in the brain, or throughout the body, or chemicals that the cells release, neurotransmitters, all that goodness, whatever you want, serotonin.
Right.
But
I think love is best explained with John 3:16. That tells you what love is. It's sacrifice.
sacrifice. Okay, so
what do you sacrifice that when you love your wife?
your time.
Yes.
So I believe that love is the commitment of one's time to anything, right? So that is why the first commandment of the Old Testament is to love thy God with all thy heart, soul, mind, right? So it's commit your time of those things to God. Well, same with the marriage. It's to commit your time to that individual, because time is the only commodity that we can never get back, right? It is the most valuable thing that every single one of us have. Nothing is more valuable, and you know how I can tell you that? You know, I can tell you that.
How's that?
So if I was to say, let's see. Let me see. Well, okay. So let me make sure I can explain this correctly, right? So, so if I was to tell you, let's see. I want to make sure I make the right comparison here.
I mean, it's a tough one.
It is.
Because
Well,
you're trying to put a value on something that has no value.
well, exactly, right? But so like, So if I was to tell you I'll give you $1 million today, you know, for free, you can do whatever you want with it, you'd gladly take it, right?
Most people would, yeah.
Most people would, right? So, but what if I was to tell you, okay, well, I'll give you $10 million today, but tomorrow you die?
Most people would probably be like, no, I'm good, bro.
No, I'm good. So you're telling me that your life
It's
today
worth
is worth more than $10 million.
million.
So then what are you doing today? Like, what, you know, if your life is worth more than $10 million, then, you know, you have like the most precious commodity right here is your time. And most people don't think about that precious commodity.
Right.
You know, they don't think of it in monetary terms because it's not normally put in monetary terms, but that is, you know, something that we associate with value nowadays.
Right.
But your life is so much more valuable than all the money in the world. I mean, if you were given $1 billion today, but your life was ended tomorrow, it wouldn't be worth it.
Right.
It wouldn't be worth it. Living poorly for the rest of your life is worth more than one day with $1 billion.
Well, you know, it honestly reminds me of a joke, and I can't quite remember the joke. But I know it has to do with throwing an atheist off a cliff and listening to him scream, oh, God, I'm going to die. Wait a minute, I didn't think you believed in God.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that tells you how valuable life is right there.
Yeah.
Because when your life's threatened, you start believing in things that you say you don't believe in.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I mean, you know, like, I believe that all life is sacred, right? All life. And this is something that I got into a talk with somebody the other day. They said, well, you know, I know how you think about dogs and stuff like that. You don't believe dogs have a soul and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, well, yeah, I think they're purely reactionary. I think that you can build relationships with dogs because they do have memories and stuff, but they don't know that they're a conscious being and able to think about, you know, being conscious and stuff. And that, you know, there's a lot of evidence around that and everything, which we won't get into, but I mean, do I still believe that their life is sacred? Yeah, totally. Now, will I save my dog over my child? No, I'll let my dog die every single time before my child, because I believe my child is more valuable.
Yes, and that's which, talking about dogs, I think that's one of the beautiful thing about dogs is a dog will give their life before they'll allow you to die.
Yeah, a lot of times the dog will be more protective.
And that explains a lot right there with life, because they know the value of your life. They know the value of their life, but they're willing to give theirs to protect their master.
Yeah. Well, that's loyalty, you know.
It is.
Yeah.
Dogs are the best.
Dogs are. They're
I've
great.
got 2 little stinkers right now, but then the other 2 are doing pretty good.
Yeah. I've got one little stinker, and the other one is just fantastic. He's the best dog ever.
Oh, yeah. Is he don't...
Yeah.
Toby. That dog. I've never seen a dog.
I know. It's pretty wild.
If you've got a beard, he is your best friend. He's
Oh, yeah. All up in the beard.
Yeah. He just goes crazy.
He loves beards.
Man.
But,
way off a subject, but
yeah, but you know, but yeah, I mean, on the subject of free will, what is free will? It's the ability to choose. Now, I think that you only have 2 choices. Thanks, brother.
Appreciate you, brother.
50 extra points right up there. That's what I'm talking about. You moving on up.
Yep.
Moving on up.
You're gonna be right behind Wade after tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, but Wade's here too. He gets the 50 points too.
He does.
Right? So
he does. He might get 50 extra. He brought us something a little extra tonight. Just don't tell Wade.
Yeah.
Jennifer, are you okay? Did you get whiplash on that one?
But yeah, so I believe it consists of 2 choices. Free will. You know, I believe that free will is the ability to either choose God or not to choose God. And we've argued about this before, but I believe that every choice comes from that. Obviously, there's other choices, but I think that they are subsequent to those 2 choices, right?
Yes, and that is...
I Maybe that's what we argued about, is that there's like millions of different choices
There's a
can make.
million things you can do, but ultimately it does come down to that
Yeah.
that is why we have free will. Why? Because of love. Love is sacrifice. We have to sacrifice our time
Yeah.
to choose God.
Well, and I think it's sacrifice of your time, but I think it's commitment, right?
Yes.
Which is a sacrifice.
It's a relationship. That's what a relationship is.
Yeah, a relationship is built off that commitment, right? That's why marriage is a commitment. It's not, just so you know, marriage is not a piece of paper that you get from the state where they give you permission to love the other individual.
No,
I think
not
that's
what marriage
bull
is.
crap. 100%
However, hey,
bull crap.
back in the day, people decided they wanted to live by man, the law of man, and not by the law of God.
No, the government wanted to impede on everybody's rights, and they wanted to be able to tax people differently. So that was the reason. They wanted to bring women into the taxable force, right? So
they're getting
that was a part of the feminist movement as well. But
yes,
we'll get into that.
Government's
on
getting a
another
piece
day.
from everywhere, and then they're going to get the crumbs.
Yeah, I think we need to break into a couple more shower thoughts. Let's do two shower thoughts. You
Two
do
shower
one,
thoughts,
I'll do
and then
another.
we'll go into the last.
Okay, this one's pretty good.
So, this is you, and then I'll do the next one.
Okay, you want me to do this one?
Yeah.
All right, so
All right.
shower thought number 3 of
it's
the night.
so funny.
This one's great.
Shower thought 3.
Shower thought number. Well, we got people turning around
That's
just to
what we
listen
want
to this
right
shower
there.
thought.
Now we know you're listening.
Okay, so this one's pretty good. So the person who proofread Hitler's speeches was an actual grammar Nazi. We got some shaking the heads over there.
Oh,
There we
yes.
go. Yeah.
All right, so let's go on to shower thought number 4. This one's actually kind of like, okay, kind of weird, but yeah, it makes sense. So,
Yeah, that is weird.
shower thought number 4. Brushing your teeth is the only time you clean your skeleton.
You're actually brushing your bones. How weird is that? You're brushing your bones. That's pretty wild. And they're attached to your scalp. I mean, they are a part. They don't go away. That's how they find people after they've decayed and everything else. That's how they identify them, is by their teeth. Pretty wild. Pretty wild. But, so next time, before you go to bed and you're brushing your teeth, be like, wow, I'm brushing my skull right now. This is kind of crazy.
Anybody calls you, hey, what are you doing? Oh, I'm brushing my skull right now.
I'm brushing my bones, man. You ever brush your bones? It feels so good.
I got a little plaque build up on my bones I'm brushing off.
You know what's wild to think of, though, is if, plaque builds up on your teeth, what builds up on your bones on the inside?
Yeah, calcium.
Calcium.
Yeah.
Crystals.
I know. Yeah.
That's why people bruise.
I know.
Most people don't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like people bruise because there's calcium crystals that are built up on their bones, and when they're hit, it actually cuts open like microcirculation.
Microabrasion for
Yeah.
blood vessels.
So there's actually techniques like gua sha and stuff that actually breaks apart those crystals on your bones. And, you'll bruise when you first initially start doing it, but you can actually break up all those calcium crystals.
Yeah.
Once all those are gone, you don't really bruise. Like, I used to do it all the time, and people would hit me as hard as they could. I would never bruise.
Well, our day job, I think we hit ourselves so many times during a day. I don't ever bruise. I'll feel it, and it's tender, and I'll look, but there's no visible bruise.
Yeah.
We just get hit so much. I think we've kind of in practice done that.
Yeah, well, okay, so, one of the things that, monks and stuff do, they do controlled impacts across the body.
Which that's very similar to iron body.
Yeah. So I know one of the places that Bruce Lee went to, one of the things that they did often was, like I said, controlled, impacts and stuff. So they would do controlled impacts on their skull, right, all over their skull, and their skulls would actually be like 4 or 5 times thicker than a normal person's skull after like 4 or 5 years of doing it.
Right.
Pretty freaking wild. So like if you get head-butted by one of them, it's like getting hit with a freaking iron block. Like,
And that's you know, like a part of iron body practice is,
Yeah.
you know, they would hit repeatedly, like they would start with wood and
yeah,
they would
like
hit.
like Bruce Lee, he would set
Yes.
up a phone book against a brick wall, and when he finally got through the phone book,
He went to the brick wall.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mhm.
And they would do
Yeah.
that, and then they would go to steel and so on and so
Yeah.
forth. And
that's
their
why I'm always
bones-
punching
right.
brick and
Their
stuff.
bones would be so dense
Yeah.
and so hard
Yeah,
that
man.
they can punch through brick.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Pretty wild.
All right, so you ready to move on to the last one?
The last
Philosophy
shower thought?
question?
Or okay, yeah. So we have one more shower thought.
Yeah, let's save that for the ending.
Oh, okay. Like main question.
Yes.
Okay, so I've been reading a book on this lately, but I haven't really got as far as I really want to in this one.
Right.
But it's a really good one. Is science compatible with religion?
Science.
Is science compatible with religion? Now, okay, so, well, this begs to a secondary question. What religion specifically are we talking about?
Right. That's a very important question because
mean,
there are many.
Yeah,
religion.
so the quote unquote religion that most people would think of that is not compatible with science is Christianity. Right?
Right.
I believe 100% the opposite. I believe that science was developed from Christianity. I believe it was developed from God, right? So, like, let's get down to the definition of science, right? So, I believe the definition of science is the observation of God's creation. Point
Yes.
blank, simple. Observation of God's creation. Thanks so much,
Y'all have a
y'all.
good night.
But yeah, I think that is the ultimate definition of science. I've thought a lot about that because, at one point I believed that they were completely separate and that science proved the Bible wrong at every corner. But in fact, I was totally wrong.
See, I've always thought this. The point of science is to disprove the Bible. And then when I did my research, I started finding that science is actually proving the Bible and the existence of God. It's also proving the resurrection of Jesus. It's
yes.
more proving everything that they're trying to disprove.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and there's so many instances of that.
There's a really, really, really good movie out about that.
You bring up a movie every time.
I do. I used to watch a lot of movies.
Oh, man.
And I would watch those quirky ones, those offbeat ones, and there's a lot of gems out there people don't know about.
There is.
But I'm sorry? Gems. Gems. Like Shiny Diamond Gem. Yes. So, appreciate you, Mikey.
Mikey.
Yes, please get that out of
Come
here.
out for
My kids
Mikey's
are gonna be high
trivia.
on sugar for the rest of the night. Appreciate you, though, brother.
Mikey's trivia is going to every Sunday
Every
night
Sunday.
right at 6 o'clock. Right.
Yeah,
Thank
man,
you,
appreciate
brother.
you.
Right before Mead Talk, we got the trivia going.
The trivia. So, but
Yep.
yes, this movie is, and I have to remember the name of it. I might have to look it up.
Have
here
you
in a
seen
second.
the 4-part documentary now that's out? It's Seventh-day Adventists that put it out, I think, but it's actually really good. It's like the Times of Noah.
No, I haven't seen
Oh man, it's pretty phenomenal. Like they go through like archaeological stuff, geological stuff, and they just break everything down. They're like, there's no other explanation. And it's pretty freaking wild. They take like the top scientists around the world. But you have some of the top scientists around the world that have come to the conclusion that God is real and there's no other way to explain anything. Creation is real. When you break down math, when you go out into nature and you look at sacred geometry, which I've talked a little bit about here on Mead Talk, but you break down sacred geometry, you go from the largest thing, like the universe, to the smallest thing, like a simple mustard seed, We'll just throw that one out there. But you go from the biggest thing to the smallest thing, and you will find fractal patterning in a ratio that's very specific to sacred geometry. Did you find the movie?
Yes. So the movie is called The Case for Christ. And it's about,
The Case for Christ is really good.
Yes. It was back in the, I want to say, late 70s, early 80s. It took place based on a true story. A husband that is a journalist.
We got a man down out there.
Yeah, I know. Walk it off, buddy. Walk it off. Throw some spit on it, dirt on it, and walk it off.
There we go. Hey, God made dirt, and it heals.
God made dirt, dirt won't hurt. But it's about a journalist. He's married, and his wife comes to find Christ, and he makes it his goal to disprove her religion.
That was really good, and it's a true story.
It is.
And
it's a true story.
The guy is a phenomenal journalist that goes to doctors, goes to scientists of the age, goes to all sorts of different people, like experts in the field.
The top of the top echelon experts in this field.
He goes and finds like the actual text, the Hebrew text, and everything, and just
essentially
tries to break everything
is
apart. And
every time he goes and he thinks he has something, they're like, eventually they're just looking at him like, you can't disprove it. There's more evidence for it than there is against it.
Yeah. Just the historical context alone of the Bible is phenomenal, right? It's the greatest historical document out there. And I heard somebody say that is the sole reason that they believe in it,
right? Because
it is by far, from any ancient document that we have, it is 5,000 plus consecutive papers back to back to back that coincide with each other. The events that took place
over 4,000 years.
Over 4,000 years. The multiple different people, the multiple different witnesses. It is phenomenal, the amount of documentation. But our entire quantum physics and science and everything is built off of just like 3 documents. Like, we believe Socrates was a real person, right? But they only have like 2 documents that actually confirm that he was ever a real person. And it's just freaking phenomenal, right? But then when you look at the Bible, it's like there's 5,000 verifiable documents of the events that took place, and people question it. It's like, wait a minute, what? It's pretty wild.
And I've really been looking at the Quran.
Really?
Yes. I've been getting more into what it has to say, just because, thy enemy.
I used to have a buddy that I debated with about the Quran, and it was interesting.
And the most interesting and what I find the most valid thing about the Quran is that it says in the Quran to follow the gospel.
Yeah.
The Quran
just
believes,
in case those who don't know what the Quran is, it's the Muslim Bible.
It's
basically
the Muslim Bible, but it acknowledges Jesus.
Yep.
It acknowledges he existed, that he rose.
Yep.
But it does not acknowledge that he is Messiah.
Well, they don't believe that he died and rose again. Right, so that is a clear distinction. They just believe that he was like a prophet, right?
Like
Muhammad or
whatever. Yes, you're right, and that now I'm remembering, and that was one of the big differences, is the fact that Muhammad doesn't have any documented miracles.
Yeah, I remember I remember listening to a particular individual that was talking to a Shiite Muslim, and by the end of the talk, they said, it might not be imperative that we, as Muslims, stop talking about whether or not Jesus died and rose again, but maybe we should start talking about why. And that was like really powerful when, like, one of the major Shiite leaders in the Muslim world started to realize that, hey, maybe this is real.
I have seen on 2, which I've been looking at 2 different guys that have been telling their testimony Both were Muslims, one devout, one willing to sacrifice his life, for the virgins and everything like that. That he did not believe that Jesus was the way. Long story short, had a conversation with him and is now a Christian.
Yeah.
Another guy that is really, really good. And the reason he's so good is because he was a Muslim. And he goes to a lot of events where Muslims will come and they will ask him, trying to deny him. And he will say, I've been where you're at.
Yeah.
Let me tell you why I'm where I'm at now.
I think I know who you're talking about.
You've probably seen it.
Maybe,
yes.
Yeah.
And they will bring up, well, the Quran says this. He says, yeah, I know it says this. And he'll quote the Quran word for word. He says, but this is what the Bible says. And it's like, wow. And then there's another guy I'll watch, which I'm going to be honest, I don't know, I want to say he's like exaggerated or I don't know. He wears like this robe and he looks Catholic, but he doesn't talk Catholic. But he said, and one of the things that really stuck with me is he said, the Bible, people talk about Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and the New Testament. And he said, when I talk to a Muslim, I say, the reason I believe the Bible is true because Matthew, Mark, Luke, John lived, ate, slept, were taught by Jesus for 3 years and 4 months, and the Quran was written 500 years after the New Testament was written. Yeah. So you tell me who I'm going to believe. The people that lived it, that saw it, that witnessed it, or somebody that said, no, not true, this is how it is, 500 years later.
Yeah. So is it compatible?
Science? Yes, absolutely. Science is absolutely compatible with religion.
I think most people that have any sort of have looked into anything at all know that it's compatible with the Great Flood. It's pretty much undeniable.
I've seen a lot of evidence about the Great Flood.
Yeah, it's pretty undeniable that there was a Great Flood, right? It's all over history. Every single culture across the entire world at almost the exact same time period agrees that there was a great flood, right?
And if you read the Bible, the Book of Enoch's not in the Bible, but if you look at the Book of Enoch
and the reasoning why,
yes, dude,
it's much more in depth.
But that actually explains Noah's Ark, that story.
The thing I like about the Book of Enoch is it actually explains a lot of the other gods that other people worship.
Yes.
Which is very interesting. It
explains the fallen angels.
The Nephilim and stuff.
Which coincides with why the flood happened.
Yes. Yep. That's
to wipe the earth clean.
That is the biggest reason right there.
Yes. And they have found
giant
skeletons.
All sorts of stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
That coincides with that. Archaeological artifacts, geologically, scientific, discoveries or so-called rediscoveries,
not
observation,
just on Earth, but in space.
Yeah, observation of creation. It all points to a singular deity that created everything.
I heard a wonderful argument.
Yeah.
Because, one of the biggest arguments is, the Earth is 1 billion years old.
Yeah.
And it was a Indian guy that is a Christian. And he's a scientist. And he said, so you're telling me that if God created the Earth, there's going to be a timestamp on it that says, hey, it's 1 day old.
Yeah.
He said, no. He said, when he created the Earth, he may have created it in a day, but the timestamp on that Earth is going to be billions of years old.
Yeah.
Because he's a creator. He can do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
And,
I mean, so okay. Well, let's put it this way. Like, so a diamond supposedly takes millions of years to be created.
Compressed,
Yeah,
yes.
compressed and heated. The
Compressed
carbon in the
ore.
earth and everything like that. And you're like, well, okay. I know diamond creators can take carbon and create a perfect diamond, perfect diamond in 13 hours.
yeah, they actually sell those now.
Yeah, they sell them.
Yeah.
And they're cheaper
Yeah.
than the diamonds that are created by the earth.
You know why they decided to sell them?
Hmm.
Because people were buying those over diamonds that were
Because they're perfect.
more or less also contributed to blood money and stuff like
Yeah.
that. With the
Yeah.
South African
Yeah. Well,
diamonds.
that's, yeah.
So they were
But-
like, "Hey, let's make them and sell them." And it's like, "Wow, they're ridiculously cheaper, like a fraction of the cost."
Yep.
But you get an actual diamond,
But
better clarity.
here's the thing though is if a human can create a perfect diamond in 13 hours, how quick can the earth create an imperfect diamond?
Right.
I mean, it's pretty wild.
And if a human can create a diamond in 13 hours, why can't the creator create the earth in a day and the earth be considered billions of years old?
Right. Yeah.
Because a diamond should be thousands of years old,
Mm-hmm.
but humans can create it in 13 hours.
Yeah.
Logic.
I heard a similar argument for that too, but it's a little bit different. It's based off of Adam,
Yes, I heard
You
that one too.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's pretty good.
Yes, I heard that one too.
Pretty good. But yeah, science compatible religion 100%.
Absolutely.
100%.
I agree with you. I think science actually is from God. God wants us to learn about the universe, to learn about the earth, to learn about life, to learn about nature.
I think it's all a part of what we're supposed to be doing here.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, okay, well, let's get down to let's get into Genesis, right? We were given dominion over the earth and
Yes.
to name the animals
Right.
and plants and everything amongst it, right? So that is science. Part of science is naming all of the things on the earth. We continually do that, and the species and families and genus and everything. That's what we do. That is part of science.
Like I would name my child running in circles right now around the Meadery, Speedius Gonzaleus.
Yeah. Or crazy.
Yeah. Or,
either one.
Or a Tasmanian devil.
Yeah, Tasmanian, that's a good one.
Yep.
Yeah, we had an iguana named Speedy.
We
Speedy
did.
Gonzalez
Yep.
and Iggy.
Yes.
Speedy and Iggy.
We
That
had
was some
Speedy
wild
and Iggy.
times.
Yep.
Until I crushed his head in the door, and then
Yeah.
but we had to nurse him back to. He lived.
He came back.
Yeah.
He still had both eyes. He was good.
Yeah, he was good. Anyways, last one of the night. I'm gonna give this one to you.
All right. So this is the last shower thought as everybody turns around to observe.
All two people.
And this one, people are going to be like, you know what? You're right. So, shower thought number 5. Most people aren't scared of being alone in the dark. They're scared of not being alone in the dark.
Bum bum bum. Yeah, we got an applause for that
There is
one.
an applause on that one. That's an extra
That was-
25 points.
A little louder, yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's they're scared of what could be there with them.
Yes.
I think.
They people would prefer to be alone in the dark.
Yeah, I would think so.
Much more than
Well, so
them
I
thinking they're alone and
I
not
mean,
being.
I would say, if I'm in my bedroom and I turn off all the lights and I'm just sitting there, with my eyes closed and stuff, like I'm perfectly comfortable.
Yeah.
But when I'm outside in an environment that I don't know what's around me, right? Yeah, I
Right.
would say that what I am afraid of is what could be there that I don't know is there.
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty valid statement.
Absolutely.
Very valid statement.
You go camping, you're not worried about, you being alone there camping. You're worried about not being alone.
Yeah. You're worried about the bears, the spiders, the mountain lions, the snakes.
The cryptids, the
what could be.
shapeshifters,
Yeah. You're talking about some
The
Halloween stuff over there.
werewolves, I mean, hey,
Yeah.
it's worrisome.
Now, hey, I've camped out in the Black Forest.
There's some pretty crazy documented stuff there.
Yeah, and well, that's where all of the myths and legends and stuff come from. Like that's where the werewolves come from, and like a lot of the old ancient stories come from, right? So like we made it a point in the army, like they're like, okay, we're gonna take this weekend, we're gonna go down like towards Edelweiss, which is like towards Austria, from Germany, and we headed down there, and we parked and we just started walking into the Black Forest, and we found a spot and we camped. That was also the first time I ever tried ayahuasca, which was very interesting.
Yeah.
That's for another Mead Talk, the DMT experience.
Might be why a lot of stories exist.
Might be what?
Why a lot of stories exist from the Black Forest.
Yeah, yeah, might be. Yeah, I would associate a lot of those stories with psychedelics. I would associate the story of Christmas with psychedelics as well.
Yeah.
You know, and that is like a pagan, deal, which we'll probably talk about next week as well, because we've talked about it a little bit before that. But yeah, a lot of stuff comes out of the Black Forest. Pretty wild.
I think next week, I don't know that we're gonna have a lot of notes. I think it's gonna be more of.
Yeah, he's gonna have notes.
Yes.
He wants to have the notes and
He
stuff.
does.
Yeah.
We were talking outside last night, and he said, well, because your Bible says this. I said, and what does your Bible say? He says, well, I don't have one. Well, one for Christians.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But but he's a very, very intelligent individual.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Very well spoken. So it's he's one of our employees here. He does a lot for us.
Yeah.
Really helps
Fantastic guy.
out. Really good work ethic.
And
But,
you'll all get to meet him.
Yep, you'll meet him
week.
next week. He's excited. We're excited. It's going to be a good Mead Talk.
It's gonna be a good Mead Talk. Probably won't be the last with him. There's a lot to talk about. But
it seems
I think
to be a
next week,
recurring thing with our guests.
our guests. Yeah, we seem to bring
we
them on
can't
quite
get
often.
it all in just one show.
No, we can't. But I think that's it for tonight on
Yeah.
philosophy. Thanks everybody for
Another
coming
good
out.
philosophy
to the
talk.
philosophy.
Appreciate the comments.
Philosophy number 3. Thanks so much. Appreciate everybody.
Till next time.